Right, so with the slides off we can remove the apron, but I'm just going to drain the oil first. Not much is coming out. Well, that was all that came out. Well, I'm assuming if I take these 4 bolts out, this part will fall down. Shouldn't have put such a big piece of wood underneath it. A small piece of wood would be better. Right. Well, that's the back of the apron with the half nuts, the drive, and that's the thing that transfers the drive upwards, from the shaft upwards. So that's in innards, sort of rusty a bit there. The gears are okay. Bit of gunge in the bottom. So this gear transfers the drive to left-right direction of the apron. That just disengages that, and then that is a clutch which engages the drive either to the cross slide or to the apron, depending upon the top knob position. And the oil pump works like injects oil upwards into the slides. This is the half nut. Well, I'm just cleaning off the worst of the crud here. All right. Is this supposed to come up like this, or what? Yes. And this then just lifts off, and it's got 3 spring-loaded pins that are pressing inwards at 120 degrees. See? Another one. So we don't want to lose those particularly, or the springs behind them. Right, I've just cleaned that up and the springs are still in there, so we'll leave them in there. Now this just lifts off. It's got a locating pin there. And an oil thing that goes into to oil that. Well, I don't know what that hole's for, which is not threaded, and this hole, which is not threaded. It goes down and then the diameter reduces before it comes out into this hole. They're not connected to anything here. We'll have to look at the parts diagram to work that out later. So this pump, the knob for it appears to just screw off. So that's not a problem. Right, well, I think we'd withdraw this shaft this way after removing one of the dreaded circlips. Not a great dab hand with circlips. What was that? Circlip is still there. Something fell off onto the... Go on. Ooh, General. Ooh, rat. Ooh, bastard. Come on. Right. And it didn't fly all over the world. How surprising. Yeah, well, we lost that washer down there. Nice gear. Right. Nothing wrong with that. And it has a washer either side of it and one circlip. So I think this knob will also screw off straightforwardly. Lovely. These nitrile gloves are pretty useless, you know. I need something thicker than this that's easier to put on. I think these are the wrong size. So there's a spring. Right, well, I trust you can see that this rubber seal, which is supposed to stop oil leaking out of here, is completely broken. The oil level is there, so it's probably about that level, certainly above this lip. So this explains why there isn't enough oil in the box. Fix-It Nige has a dodge for replacing this oil seal, rather than buying what he said was a very expensive one from the 600 group. We'll see. Well, I think I can now wash it off in petrol, because I can make it fit in this bucket with something. You rat! So that's my other nitrile glove gone. Brilliant! What's the point of wearing gloves when they don't sodding well work ever? That bucket isn't big enough for this job, is it? Right. We'll use a bigger one. I should get a bit more petrol somewhere.
Hey Pete,
Yeah.
you know when I brought the car around yesterday,
Yes.
and I showed you that wire, that sensor which was full of oil?
Yep.
Yeah, well Penfold was a mechanic, and he said if that hasn't got a connection, that's not helping, because that provides because there's oil in there, so the seal's gone, isn't it?
Well, yes, possibly. Whether it stops the connection, we don't really know, do we? You know you're on YouTube, don't you? Because this camera is on. So, now I appreciate what a parts washer is for, because it does this for you. The basting of the part is done for you, instead of having to be done by me by hand. Well, I'm going to take the bottom off this apron. But the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, 11 screws, and 3 of them won't come out. These are 3mm cross flats hex. I've tried using a 9/16, which is 3.1mm. That doesn't work either. So I'm going to try now cutting a slot across these. Luckily they stick up above the level of the base. Well, I normally do this with a hacksaw, but I thought I'd try. See if it's any easier with this. Well, that was certainly quicker. Now, where's the big screwdriver? Caramba! Maybe not from that angle. Right. Aha, not so good, not so fast. Yes. Right. Right. Nice mush. Shouldn't really be there, should it? This is all very well, but right, when I clean that out, I found a rubber O-ring in the gunge at the bottom of this white container. Whether that was already down there or whether it came off something when I disassemble it, I don't know. Anyway, I've saved it. Let's see if we can get some. Reasonable amount in there. Holding that. Well, this apron is the right way up at the moment. So that's the big handle that moves the saddle left and right along the axis of the lathe. And it turns quite easily like this, but when it's like that, I think that this gear is rubbing against the side of the case there. In fact, you can more or less hear that there, not like that. So now the question is, what keeps it, and why is it loose like this? It shouldn't be loose like that. It should be maintained in the right position. And I would say that maybe there should be a washer in here to stop that coming forward like that. So this is the lever that engages the feed, either that way or the cross-slide feed, depending upon the position of this gear that we've taken out. So this is a kind of a clutch. Notice that this spins completely freely there, but if I turn this upside down now, this is driven by the feed shaft, and it's actually pretty damn stiff, and if I put it like that, it's even worse, which is the disengaged position. It's even worse. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's about the same always. Anyway, it's, well, that's all right, you see, but then we come. Anyway, it's too stiff, that. So maybe this bearing needs cleaning out, whatever. Well, now these gloves have failed as well. It's a hard life. So this is what was left after all that muddy gunge had been dissolved in petrol. I'm just wondering how much metal there is in here. Well, there is some. It is not, no big chunks. Well, I've just taken off this broken oil seal which goes under there, and that fits on there. This seems to have a brass thing that presses onto this upper half nut, which comes off like that, and the lower half, oh well, it's obvious now the lower one is completely different. So this thing was oriented like that. The hex there, what that's for. Why does that stick out? Well, it doesn't seem to engage with anything. It's weird. These half nuts appear to be made of steel or cast iron. Somehow I expected them to be bronze, but I suppose this is just as good, or if not better. This one has an adjustable pin with 2 grub screws. Perhaps that adjusts the amount by which they grip, or their up-down position. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to work that out when we put it back together. Presume that, do those go in there? Yes, they go in there, so this would adjust the bite, I think. It's interesting. See, this is profiled, or is it worn like that? No, I think it's profiled like that. In that this has been machined away, that has been machined away. There's somewhere on the inside of this fixed bush through which the lead screw passes, and you've got the half nuts here. It's on the top, well, mainly on the top here, not on, more on the top than the bottom. So I think it's a slight misalignment of the half nuts, causing them to pull the lead screw this way. Right, well, I think I've worked out what this sticky out thing is for, which goes in here. This is the shaft that engages the lead screw, and if we look down here we can see that there's a lever which comes up when the feed is engaged. So the purpose of this thing is to stop the feed being engaged when the lead screw is engaged. So this is where I am at the moment. I've got the apron off but not the saddle, and then there's the tailstock, and there is the apron. There are the top slide and the cross slide, the headstock. In my climate controlled environment I have the bits that I've cleaned up, or most of them. In the centre there is the threading feed gearbox. That's the motor, which I haven't cleaned up yet. That thing is irrelevant. That box there is the thread dial. That stuff came off early on and couples the spindle to the feed gearbox. That's what came off the apron. That's what came off the headstock. And those are the 3 drive shafts which I've cleaned up. So this gigantic black patch here on the floor is nothing to do with the lathe. What this is Aquaseal High Proof, which is a black compound for tanking brickwork, underground brickwork and the like. and I accidentally spilt it on this floor, and I can't get rid of it now. It dissolves to some degree in petrol, but not enough to be able to get rid of it. And you know, it sticks to my feet and the camera tripod, and then when I take these into the house, it comes off on the carpets. It's a bloody nuisance. I think I'm going to have to get some kind of concrete grinding machine and grind it off, if I could find a suitable machine.